to do and never had the opportunity to try to get to a university and take a clay course. But there was a man, Jarrell Williamson in Selma, that had a little studio, and he had some extra wheels and was offering a very casual class in clay. And I said, well, you know, I'm almost finished with the church bazaar and all this other work I'm working on, so why not try working in the clay? So I signed up for a Thursday evening course, very inexpensive. And I didn't realize that a year later I would have my own equipment and start selling my own pottery. It just really worked out wonderfully. It was just one touch of clay that did it. Well, as you can see by some of my work here, I use a natural theme and I use more natural colors, and I make functional pieces as well as a few decorative pieces. But I see myself as growing in technique and trying different aspects of clay work, but I still have the same style. I have people that come to me after 7 years and hadn't seen me for a while, and they'd say, yes, your technique is better, you're coming out with some new wonderful items, but I can still spot your work from a distance. I know if I see the maple leaves or the oak leaves, generally that's going to be your work. On this piece I used an oak leaf, and this is from my own yard. I have a lot of oak trees and maple trees in this yard, and I used the actual oak leaf in there for an impression. It fires off and leaves this great texture, and I use a special process to even enhance the veins some more on this. I keep texture in all of my pieces because I like to make sure people know it is a handmade piece. Everything is done by me, and I don't have any people helping me with this. But I try to make sure any of the leaves I use, like the grapevine leaves, the silver maple, sugar maple, any of them have great veins and textures on them. I even put them in the freezer because some leaves don't hold up well in a Ziploc bag. Like my maple leaves have to be frozen. The grape leaves have to be frozen because they're just thinner and they won't hold up if you just put them in plastic. I make some wonderful pieces out of sycamore leaves, and a friend of mine gathered up a lot of them, and I still have some in the freezer from that usage. But the grapevine pieces are just absolutely wonderful, and it's very natural with the leaf color in it too. I have woven with clay. I've made one piece that weighed 24 pounds. I used a whole bag of clay on it. It was called the Cobra basket. But I extruded the clay out, smoothed it, and wove it into a wonderful vessel. This is just one of my little bread baskets that's very functional because you can put muffins in it, stick it in the microwave, and heat it up for breakfast. It's a great piece. This is one of my new pieces with the oak leaves on it. It's a platter, and it's larger than some that I've been able to make, and it took me probably only about 15 minutes to throw it, but it took a half a day to put the handles on and the detail on to make sure that it was going to be just right and not fall off. It took a month in drying process so it wouldn't come apart, and then it was fired in the normal manner. My glazes fire to about 2,300 degrees, and they're all homemade by me, all scratch glazes. I don't use store-bought. So they have a wonderful texture to them, and it shows the throwing marks that I purposely leave in my pieces. This piece right here is one of my favorites. It's one of the originals. I made this in 1989. This is called my test piece, and it's not for sale. I sold a lot of my first work, and I wish I hadn't, but this piece is never going to be for sale. When we were graduating from our classes, we were going from hand-built to wheel-thrown pieces. We had to do a test piece, and it had to be over 15 inches high. It had to have slab work, coil work, and a pinch pot combined with 25 different designs. I graduated with this piece, but to me it's very much in keeping with what I do because of texture. I use impressions of shells. On some things I even use Lego wheels or springs, and it's nice to leave the texture and purposely put it in there, maybe even with burlap. So I enjoy that. This is one of my favorites. It's so exciting. One of my best tales is, you know, people ask me if I start out making something in particular, and yes, usually I do have something in mind, but some of my best bowls or vases, I like to let the clay create itself or dictate what it wants to be, and it's nice to take a lump of clay and you see something transforming from it. You know you wanted to make a vase, but this is just really wonderful, just absolutely great. And some mistakes turn out to be some of the best items too. It's great to see them transform from that lump of clay. And somebody wants to buy it too. That's even